Hi, I'm Eric, also known as Trekkie V47, from the Ranger Command Power Hour and the Starfleet Escape podcast. You're listening to another great Four-Eyed Radio product. For more shows, check out foureyedradio.com. It's morphin' time!
Hey there, Eric here from Socially Awkward Studios, and this Four-Eyed Radio presentation is being proudly brought to you by Raven Designs, illustration and design that fit your personality. For samples and inquiries, visit ravencruise.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Appropriately Inappropriate. I think this is episode 53, right?
It is,
53.
Yes.
Hope you guys enjoyed last week's podcast with Michael Cohn. I know we had a good time. If anybody has any drunk stories that they want to share,
It was great.
go on our Facebook page, facebook.com/appinpod, APPINPOD. My name is Kevin Elliott. You can follow me on Twitter at Kevin_Elliott. Find me on Facebook, Kevin Elliott. Find me at my home at 9. I'm just kidding. And across from me, as always,
I'm Nancy. Don't follow me anywhere. In fact, right now, Kevin's driving me around. I'm on foot, temporarily. But I want to just say hi, welcome back, thank you for listening, and we will never, ever talk about this again, but last week was Kevin's birthday. Happy birthday, Kevin. So sorry, I had to do it. And then we have a special guest.
Michael Palladino's here.
Okay. I couldn't say his last name. I knew it was
Obviously not
Mike.
rehearsed, yeah. Michael Palladino,
So
right?
back-to-back Michaels. Did you plan this or what?
Back-to-back
This
Michaels
is like our
with beards.
third.
Yeah.
How
There's another
did you
Michael
do
with
it?
a beard out here?
Yeah, not nice as yours. We
No.
thought it was nice, but then you came in.
I should still
Yeah.
just probably quit now.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Oh.
Nobody told me at the AZ Comedy booking office that there was already a guy with...
There's an abundance of beards, guys.
Oh, wait,
And
quick.
Michael, so...
My cousin has a beard similar to yours, and he's so funny. Like, he has this switchblade that he'll pull out. He's talking to ladies, and
sure.
he pulls it out, and he starts combing it. Like, it's no big thing, and it's the funniest shit you've ever seen.
I thought you were just talking about a straight-up knife. Like,
No, it's
That's
a
how he
switchblade.
shaves in front of people.
But it's a comb, so he'll just be talking to people, and he just starts combing. It's like, it's not happening.
I'm going to do that.
It's totally happening.
I'm going to do that. I should comb it anyway, so I might as well do it in the most dramatic and cool fashion in front of people.
Do you shampoo it?
I put conditioner in it.
Yeah, all right.
And a little trick I picked up, coconut oil. A little bit of coconut oil in there.
Oh, you get
Yeah.
Coconut oil is going to save the world right now.
It is
People are
gonna save
brushing
the
their
world.
teeth with it. They're slathering their wrinkles with it.
We could just talk about coconut oil for an hour, and I could just toss out all my comedy shit.
Okay.
I am so all about coconut oil. I can name like 50
Are you
uses.
oil pulling?
Oil? Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
know what
being
that is.
sponsored by anything, but, sure.
Okay, give me 5 uses for coconut oil.
Okay, moisturizer. It's good for getting rid of dandruff.
Okay.
If you put it in your coffee in like a French press kind of fashion, you kind of put it in with the grounds first and then add the water. That kind of does like a delayed effect with the caffeine a little bit, and it's actually much better for you. When you eat it, also it's antibacterial. If you have cold sores or bad skin, it's good for that. That's got to be 5.
That's like 3.5. Sunscreen. I've heard this. I've heard it's sunscreen and it's ointment for sunburns.
I would think
So,
that.
I
You ever
feel
see
like
the
that's like double
Seinfeld
dipping, I'm not
where,
sure.
Where Kramer uses butter as sun tanning lotion and it burns him up too
He's
bad.
like a turkey.
I wouldn't fuck around with coconut oil.
Yeah,
and go
me
outside
either.
with that.
I kind of feel like people are just hopping on this coconut oil bandwagon. I'm on it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
in every room in my house. I'm not going to lie. But I just still think
Especially
it's
the
silly.
bedroom.
My
We
skin,
didn't go over that use for it,
My skin looks just like it did 2 weeks ago.
but it dries out condoms. I don't want you guys to get sued.
Wait, it's internal use as well? It's not external use only? What the fuck? That was my mind blowing.
All right, so hold on.
I'm sorry.
To finish the intro...
I'm so sorry.
Did I
You guys are
adequately
good.
get this party started? or-
You guys are great. Next week, everybody, Thursday, August 21st, everybody get out to Stand Up Scottsdale. It's our live showcase show that we did last month that had a huge following attendance. The reviews were awesome. So we're doing it again. And the comics that we have that are going to be performing for you, again on August 21st at 8 p.m. It's a free show. We've got Chappelle Lacey, Josh Graves, Justin Teachin,
Okay.
Mike Dapper,
Okay.
and Jason Hill.
I'm not a fan.
Is he the tall guy?
I love Jason.
Jason's all right.
Yeah.
Is
He's
he real
kinda
tall?
He's real skinny.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
All right.
Another
hey,
thing,
relax.
a skinny white comic. That if I had known, I would have stayed home.
That's why I plumped out. It used to be real thin, and then I got into
dude.
comedy.
You want him to be set apart.
I figured that was what happened.
So August 21st, that's going down this Thursday, guys. So get out there, totally free. Have some fun with us. We're gonna do something different too. So last time we just did questions from me and Nancy to the comics right after their sets. And again, the way it goes down is these guys go up to do like 7-minute sets, and then they stay up on stage when they're done. We do question answer with them for a few minutes about their set, about their jokes, where they originated from, that kind of stuff, so you can get to know them a little bit better. And we're gonna do a question from the audience for each comedian as well, so you guys can participate and also send something in. If you put something on the Facebook, you can't make it to the show, put something on our Facebook page or tweet at me a question that you want to ask the comedians, then maybe that'll get put up there too, and we'll ask the comedians that stuff. So it's a lot of fun, a lot of interaction, and then beyond that show, you can see me August 31st at Stand Up Scottsdale. That's a 7:30 show, so get out there for that. I think tickets are only $10, so.
Oh, and
It'll
some
be good.
feedback that we got from the comics was that they liked the fact that people felt like they could talk to them after their set and ask them questions and stuff. So if there's questions you have for the comics, feel free to ask them.
So
Or you
that's-
just want to get to know them.
So this is the first time you've opened up the floor to questions for these comics?
Yeah.
Okay. I hope you don't get too much of like, why are you gay?
No. It won't. The plan is to. The plan is to just do one question, because then it takes up way too much time.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to be up there for like 30 minutes answering questions when all they do is a 7-minute set.
Yeah.
But
Unless you happen to be gay and you want to tell your story, then that's fine
Yeah.
too. You know, whatever you're into.
Yeah.
all right, so Michael,
good point.
where can people find you at? Social media, where are you performing? All that good stuff.
Social media, the only thing that I could really push right now is my Instagram. I really have a lot of fun with that. I kind of take it to strange new places. Within the boundaries of what Instagram will allow on there. That's Mikey Palla, Mikey Palla. It's the first half of my last name.
Okay.
And Twitter, I haven't really been on too much. And when I say too much, I mean like in the past 2 years. So I'm going to have to start that up again. But you can always add me on Facebook, too. Palladino, Palladino. And, I'll add you. I don't care if I don't know you. It's cool.
And, all right, so where are you performing? Anything coming up?
Well, chop and walking a little bit, I guess, right? Are we doing that?
Yeah.
I'll be at... Okay, this will drop on Sunday, right?
Yep.
So, okay. Let me try to remember here. I'll be at the Ice House that Monday, this coming Monday. I would assume that I probably have something at the Taffy Room that following Saturday. Of course, well, if you're my Facebook friend by now, you would just look at my page and know that. I mean, I'm not going to
Break it
spoon
down.
feed you here. But, okay. The following Monday after that, I also have a show at the Ice House, so that'd be the 25th. The next night, I'll be at Bridget's Last Laugh, the 26th.
Okay.
The 27th, I'll be at the Hidden House, and then I'm happy to say that on the 28th, I'll be at the Speakeasy doing my first headlining gig, which is very exciting. So, and then after that, I don't know.
Well, everybody get out there, man, and see this kid, because he's really funny, and you're about to find out why. We're going to dive into some stuff. Right off the bat, though, we're going to get very serious. As serious as we can get. My birthday was August 11th. I don't really celebrate my birthday. I didn't do anything to be born. That was my parents' gig. So, another thing that happened August 11th was Robin Williams passed away from suicide. It was suicide?
Yeah, I believe so.
And then, because he was battling depression, then also found out that he was in the early stages of Parkinson's, and kind of shook up the country, at least. I don't know the world, but it shook up the country for sure.
I'd say the world. I think he was one of those dudes that could really transcend, especially that comedy can really push past like language barriers. I think just you could see him entertaining people who don't really speak the language. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm
No,
going.
you're fine.
This is why you're here.
Yeah, keep going, man. Keep talking.
It does make, like, going off of that, though, I did hear about the Parkinson's thing today, and when I heard it, it was surprising, but then when you think about it, I could see how a guy like that, who is already clearly having his own problems, the idea of maybe that disease getting too deep into you to the point where it affects your speech and your movement, that was 90% of what Robin Williams was just like how he could convey all those ideas out with his, erratic, rapid fire kind of, and then to have that be compromised, and I don't think he wanted to end up like, Muhammad Ali or whatever, and I think maybe, I'm not saying I get why he killed himself, but when I heard that, I was like, you could see a kind of a twisted logic behind it. I still wish he would have just stuck around for us, but when I heard that, I was like, yeah, okay, kind of, I guess that makes sense in a way.
Mm-hmm. I can't put myself in his shoes. I mean, I don't.
Oh, I wouldn't try, yeah, but I mean, we all try to kind of like find some rationalization in it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But how could you really? I mean, but I don't know. Heavy thing, man.
I mean, it really is. For a comedian, almost doesn't matter what level you're at, you kind of get the lifestyle a little bit. And nowadays, I think much more comedians don't have the heavy depression. I don't think that their comedy comes from a dark place anymore, for the most part. And I could be really wrong.
I think that what we're seeing right now is what's popular right now is very much, and I'm not knocking any form of comedy. I think there's a place for everything. I'm not one of these guys who is part of his camp and says, fuck all the rest of the camps or whatever like that.
Yeah.
But there is something more. There's more of the nerdy kind of comedy right now. There's more of, I wouldn't say like alt comedy, but just like definitely like the Chris Hardwick kind of nerdy or kind of, it's that kind of thing. And I don't know if that really comes from well, I guess it does, but it comes in its own way. It just doesn't look like these guys are depressed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They're just not as open about that kind of thing sometimes. They're more about just, pop culture and this and that and having a weird high school experience. But I think more like in the 90s, that's when like you saw more guys that were just like, I'm fucked up and I don't know what to do. And like, can I tell you about it? And like, I think that was more popular back then. I do think it's going to come back.
Yeah, you're probably right. Everything comes in a circle, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't really know how to react to it. I never met him, and even though I had been in the comedy clubs that he was in, we never crossed paths. Like, he wouldn't stop in. But a lot of people that I know knew him, and everything they have to say about him is that he's like this great guy and
Sure.
super caring and passionate, loving guy. And then you see his comedy, and that kind of comes out too. Like, he had that smile where it was like a child's smile, Mm-hmm. He would smile and it kind of warmed you up, and it was goofy and silly but innocent, and not many people have that. And so when he was on stage or in movies and he was acting and smiling, first of all, he was a fucking really good actor. Because he did comedies and dramas and everything. He was really good.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like he was classically trained at like Juilliard and everything, so he had that kind of background. But you almost think you didn't really need that because he just had this understanding of people, and he never lost like his sense of wonder, I guess. Like, I was just listening to a podcast where a couple of comedians that are about our age were all getting together and talking about like they run small rooms in Los Angeles, and he had no problem just popping in, and it wasn't like, hey, can I do a set here, and then just bump somebody and then like, all right, see you later. It was like he would do it. Of course, he'd go over on time and blow the light, but then he would just be all like, afterwards he'd shake everybody's hand and be all like, thank you, thank you. It's like, you have an Oscar and 2 houses and, $1 million. Well, more than that. Can you tell how poor I am? You must have $1 million.
$1 million.
A solid gold car. No, but
I heard he had checks.
He had a garbage disposal in his sink. I lost my train of thought. Oh,
That's all right.
just the idea that he was so like appreciative and grateful to people just for like a little set in like the back of a comic book store in L.A. Like I mean, I used to live in Los Angeles for a brief moment, and I would go to the UCB theater a lot, not to perform but to watch. And that was around the time when it was like, yeah, Robin Williams pops in here once in a while, and it's like a $5 show in this tiny ass room where you bring your own beer and everything.
Yeah.
It's like nothing was beneath him. There's a lot of comics now that don't have an eighth of the success that he had. That would just be all like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Why would I do that? I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. He comes from the old school, though.
What's the old school?
The old school is, dude, you go up anywhere.
Oh.
Anywhere you get time, you go up. If you had shit, if you could do something on the side of the street at 3rd Street Promenade in Santa Monica, you would do it.
Yeah, he was a mime.
He what?
That's how he started, like, before, yeah.
Hold on, let's all mime.
Yeah, Nancy, no, that's
We're all
really good
miming.
for the podcast.
I know, everybody's doing it right
Everybody's blown away by your miming.
Wait, hold
It's
on.
a fantastic...
Except that you continue to talk through your miming.
That's the only way I can tell people what I'm doing, because I'm not good at
It
it.
looks like you're putting
Okay,
sequins on a sweater.
It looks like you're trying to do the glass box, but it looks like you're touching, like, a soft padded wall.
Which
I
you're used
belong.
to.
But I
Yeah.
appreciate what you're trying to do.
Nance, what about you? You're not a comedian, so you don't know the life. No,
I don't-
but
I
what
don't
do you
know the
think?
life.
The Robin Williams thing, how did it shake you up? What's your thoughts?
I'm not a comedian, but even when I was a kid, some of the first memories I have of being like, I want to be funny. This guy inspired me to be funny. I remember listening to Good Morning Vietnam all the time in my parents' cars and whatever. And the guy talking about crotch pot cooking, I thought when I was little, that was like the funniest thing to me ever. To this day, is still like, Robin Williams was the funniest guy to me. Patch Adams is one of my favorite movies. What Dreams May Come is my favorite movie. I mean, all of my favorite movies that I can go back and think about, he was in them. Mm-hmm. And Jumanji and Hook and all these. And you're right about what you said. He has this smile. He's got this like twinkle in his eye, and you can tell he's not above anybody. And that's what made him great. That's what made everybody everybody connected to him, and everybody loved him because he wasn't acting. You can tell he just really was.
Genuine.
Pouring himself out to everybody as a gift, and he was amazing.
No matter how old he got, he was always a
didn't
kid
matter.
at heart.
Yeah.
Which is cool. How do you think now, after his passing, that this changes things?
Well, when I heard about the Parkinson's thing, then I think that really changes a lot. I mean, still, it takes depression to follow through with something like that, but I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. And it's the point that I already made. It doesn't excuse it, and it doesn't really make it logical, but it kind of makes it like, I really do think that he didn't want to be a mute person who couldn't move around too well. Mm-hmm. I think that would just be his own private hell.
Yeah, it would be.
And I don't think I think when he got that diagnosis, he ran away with it. He had his imagination go, and I wouldn't want to assume what goes on in another man's head, but it makes sense to me. I mean, it really does. So
I think what was so surprising for everybody was that he was still one of us. Like, he wasn't really old, and he wasn't like visibly shaken. He looked like everybody else that was just wildly successful. So in a way, I feel like everybody kind of really viewed him as just like us, maybe a little older than us, but still in the game. And the fact that you're diagnosed with Parkinson's is, it's horrible, but anyone who knows anything about Parkinson's is like, you don't get diagnosed and the next week you can't move your limbs.
Yeah, no,
it's a long process. So that to me was even more surprising.
Yeah.
So, I know people with Parkinson's, and
Michael
they've had
Fox,
it for years.
He's got a show now, or is it?
He did. Yeah.
But in your 60s, and you get a diagnosis, and let's say you get 5 to 10 good years, like.
Yeah, but
Just doesn't make
I think I
sense.
agree with Michael. I mean, to him, that probably is or was his hell, because he's so animated, and now this thing is going to take over his body, and he just
But he could have
probably
done
looking in the future,
good
saying,
with it.
Oh, he could have.
He could have done a lot.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
of course.
Like throwing buckets of ice water. What the fuck?
I
on his
fucking
head.
hate
I do
that.
too.
What is that?
Well,
Can somebody explain
Let's
it to
talk
me?
Yeah,
about
let's get
that.
into that.
Let's talk right about that.
I fucking hate it.
I
All I see
nominate
is Ice
you.
Bucket Challenge, and only today did I see it has something to do with ALS. Is that
Yeah, yeah.
Which
See,
is
it was
But
just a blip on my Facebook feed. I
We
had no
already
idea.
know what ALS is. I'm aware that it exists.
Yeah.
I don't need somebody pouring a bucket of ice water on them.
I am
Why don't you write a
behind
check
donating
for
the
research?
money. I mean, the people who are pouring money on themselves, like,
Has anybody here heard the Doug Stanhope bit where he talks about raising awareness versus doing something?
no, tell
He
us.
says it's like, basically the metaphor is like, if you saw a guy on the side of the road with a twisted wreck of a car and his bone sticking out of his leg and he's lying in the gutter going, help me, would you go up and go, look, and just look at this guy, be aware of this guy?
Somebody
No,
get
you
me
would
a bucket of ice
you would call
water
an
so I can
ambulance.
help
Like,
him.
That's what we're doing. I mean, the whole
I
thing
think
is
it's
raising awareness.
ridiculous.
That's exactly
I
what
think what is cool is that it is awareness is, a thing. But on top of that, if this is about donating money, donate the money
Yes.
Yes.
and raise awareness by dumping ice on yourselves.
Yes.
But also really know what kind of charity you're donating the money to, because
No one knows.
what they're finding out now about like the Susan G. Komen thing and all that, like that's only 10% or something that they
Yeah.
give away, and then a lot of it is to make pink football helmets.
I bought a
Like,
pink
yeah.
KitchenAid for $300+ and only 10% of it
Yeah.
went to breast cancer.
You do need to look at it.
I would
It
have
says-
just bought a normal color.
It says
It's a-
like
it's a
proceeds
brand
of this go to blah blah blah, and when you read the fine print, it's like 3%.
Oh, the shittiest thing is a friend of mine is going through cancer treatments. So there's a website that is up and it's like updating her status constantly, so nobody's like calling her all the
Yeah.
time.
That's actually
So
pretty
it
cool.
says
Yeah.
give a donation. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to, help them. They have children and stuff. I'm like, why not?
Sure.
And I talked to some other people, and they're like, "Oh, don't do it. The money goes directly to the website. Like the company that's funding this website, it's
What?
it's like a Facebook page
These
essentially.
fucking people, man.
So unless you read fine print, you don't see that the money doesn't go to them at all. It's a donation to the Facebook page. Has nothing to do with her.
How are they okay with that?
No
How
one's
fucked
okay
up
with
in
it,
the
but
head you
nobody
gotta be?
reads the small
The
print.
people that put that up are okay with it. They love it.
And-
Fucking assholes, man. I hate
and they're doing
people,
this in
but
the
I mean, I
wake
love
of like
them
a
too.
cancer treatment. Like this is terrible. But
I don't know. The awareness thing, it does bother me. I think it's stupid.
I do too. But I'm glad for the
I
awareness.
am waiting for somebody to say, "I nominate you, Kevin," and I'm just going to take a video of me writing a check.
I was going to say, I
to
want to
the
dump like a
fucking
bucket
place.
of money on myself
Hashtag write a
and go,
check.
this is
Yeah.
going to ALS.
Fucking stupid.
And I watched some Facebook thing today of these idiots doing it, and they're like, well, it's for cancer. It's not fucking
Yeah, no, it's
for
not.
cancer.
No, it's
Put
not
your
for
shirt
cancer.
back on.
It's for you to be in a video where you're doing that, to be
Yes.
part of something that you see.
That you're not helping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing of like, the whole, the thing with that guy 2 years ago, the African warlord. Remember him?
Oh, Coney?
Coney.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where it's just like, look at him. Look what he's doing there. It's all like, nothing's going to happen if we just look at, like, it's
Yeah.
not like, oh, everybody's aware of what I'm doing out here. That guy knew people were watching him. He didn't give a
Yes.
shit.
It's like a sex tape.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this is being filmed?
I'll say this about Coney. He owned it.
Sex tapes for ALS. That's. I'm going to nominate someone to do a sex tape for ALS.
I nominate.
That would be really- That's like the best way to raise money. I mean, why don't people do that? Like,
Yeah, the
I had
Kardashians
an
raised a
idea.
bunch
Yes.
of money for
I had an
themselves.
idea for like, I want to get into screenwriting too, and I'm just going to say this idea on this podcast. If
Don't.
somebody wants
Yeah,
to,
don't do it.
I don't fucking care.
More people listen than you think.
It's going to be one of those things where I'm like, I'm going to do it, and then I never do it. So if I'm not going to do it, then I'll just somebody else do it. But like a social satire commentary comedy thing where two like A-list celebrities make a sex tape to raise money for a presidential candidate that they believe in, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, and he doesn't want the money. And it's like that kind of like Albert Brooks, Woody Allen type show business thing. I think that'd be a funny movie where it's just
They
like-
have
I
that
think
movie
that'd be
Sex
funny.
Tape that came out.
yeah, but
Not
I know it's not the same.
Zach and Miri make a sex tape or
Yeah,
make a
that's one.
porno. I liked
Yeah.
that one. That was good.
that was one of the later Kevin Smith movies that I actually
I thought
liked.
that was pretty funny. It was dark though. Like
Yep.
it was always so dreary and just
It
kind of
had
depressing.
some fucked upness to it.
But it was funny.
Sure, yeah.
So, Michael,
Uh-huh.
let's get into this a little bit. Let's get into you. All right, we've talked about Robin Williams. We've talked about ALS.
You got all that out of
Why
the way.
not segue
I have
right
a bucket
into
of ice.
to Michael?
Oh, am I doing this now? Cool. Make sure you get me on.
We're just gonna do a
Facebook.
soundtrack of it and tell people we did it.
All right. First of all, how long have you been doing comedy for?
Not long at all, actually. Then again, you had a guy in here last week who was only doing it for a year. I'm
Yeah.
proud to say I got him beat by 8 months or so. So I mean,
dude, a veteran.
Yeah. So I don't want to like come across as like I know everything, but it's like I know everything. No, I don't. I'm such
Good for you.
the fact that I'm here right now on this podcast and that I'm headlining in a couple weeks. I mean, I know this doesn't sell the show pretty well, but it's just like, wow, like, okay, because I've only recently got like serious about comedy. Before, I don't know what it was, I just wasn't going up enough. And then this past summer, I was just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, you can't just like dip your toe in the water. You got to fucking do it. And then so I was working night shifts at this factory. I told them this ain't happening anymore, and they were like, "Okay, well, we support that actually. Like, we want you to be happy." And I was like, "Okay." Like, I was totally waiting for the no, you can't. And then, well, and fuck this, I quit. Like, I was prepared. I was in the office, like, I'll tell you something. And then it was like,
This place is going under without me.
yeah.
It's not a flash
All those
dance.
people out
I'm
there
gonna
are
quit
gonna come
at the
with me.
factory and follow my
Nobody's
dreams.
gonna come with me. It totally is like that. I mean, that's kind of my life right now. But I was so surprised because they were all like, "We know you hate doing this, and we know that you love doing that. So what can we say here? Like, just
One of them pays
we're
you.
going to help you."
That's awesome.
Wait,
And then
what
of course
kind
it was, "What are you going to do about insurance?" And I was like, "I don't know." Like,
Yeah.
I'll
You're
figure that
young.
out.
Roll the
No
dice.
shit.
Urgent
Wow.
care.
Yeah.
Wait, what kind of factory? I didn't know. Like, I worked at the factory. I've literally never
Burlington
heard that
Coat.
except
Burlington Coat,
on TV.
I've been in the optical business for 9 years now. I make eyeglasses.
Oh.
So I started
Cool.
working at Lens Crafters, and then I went to Eye Masters, and then eventually I ended up working for a very large company where
Costco.
you ever go to, not Costco. I'm not going to say who it is, but it's not Costco.
You don't have
Sam's
you know,
Club.
Bingo.
you know when you go to a doctor, like an eye doctor, and they're not part of like a place that has the 1 hour lab in the back, so it's like, pick out your frame. I'll call you in 2 weeks, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It goes to the place, like the kind of places that I work at. So each day we get 2,000 frames in from all over the country, and then basically I just have to grind down plastic or polycarbonate material into a lens, and then somebody else shaves it down to the fitting, and we send it out. So, yeah.
I think I need glasses.
I have glasses.
You do?
I can't
Yeah.
give you a discount if that's what you're getting.
Damn.
I refuse to wear them. I flat out refuse
That's
to wear
always the
them.
follow-up question after I explain to people what I do.
Can you
Really?
give me lots of glasses?
People ask for discounts on glasses. Like, what? That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Not
So
always
what-
in the subtle way that Kevin just did, but
So what got you into doing stand-up?
I've always just been, I don't know. I was kind of a indoor kid when I was younger. We'll say that. Watched a lot of TV, and I just was really always interested in how somebody could be funny. Both my parents are really funny. I see what you did there, Nancy. She
What'd
just
you
pulled out
do?
some
Welcome.
glasses.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
You can't use them.
I don't want them. They probably have herpes on them.
Probably.
Yeah.
Syphilis of the eye.
Pink eye,
Those are actually really nice.
right? They're like a tortoise shell. They're nice.
Again, Nancy, great visual for the podcast.
You're welcome. I was miming those.
But anyway, what was I saying? Oh, my mom especially. My dad's got a great sense of humor too, but my mother really loves to joke around and everything, and so I was always raised with that. And then watching Ghostbusters 3 times a day as a kid, and then throughout like the whole '90s, I don't know if you remember on Comedy Central, like in the early to mid '90s. I guess they didn't have a lot of money, so they couldn't have like their own shows and stuff back then. So the only thing they could do was just show stand-up like 24 hours a day, basically. And so I just watched all that and just soaked it in, and it was like, you see these guys now who are like the guys in their 40s and 50s that are kind of like, they're just getting that kind of like icon legend comedy status. And I remember watching them when they were like younger than I am now, like Mark Maron and Louis C.K. and Sarah Silverman, Dave Attell. Those were like, yeah, I've been into them since I was like 8. I literally have been a comedy nerd since that age. And I wanted to get into it. I don't know why I didn't. Maybe it was just kind of like fear or whatever. I did work at the Improv for a little bit when I was 20 years old. And
Which one, Tempe?
Yeah, Tempe
Okay.
one. Yeah. I didn't commute to the Hollywood one.
I didn't know where you were living,
Yeah,
man.
that's
I didn't
true.
know.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, I worked there, and it was the best job I ever had and the worst job I ever had. All
Why?
at the same time. Because, first of all, I was getting paid what is today considered less than minimum wage.
Yeah.
No benefits or anything like that.
Ugh.
Working long hours. And the guy that owned it, one of the owners, basically the face of it, not the one who killed himself. I actually really liked that guy. But the guy who was the face of it, and I could say this now because nobody knows where he is. I haven't heard anything about him, so whatever. But he was an asshole, and he was just very, like, he would expect you to do things for him after your shift was over, like he was like, you know, your slave master and shit. He was, and I don't want to get into too much of that because that'll take up too much time. But it was, I mean, the best part of it was just to meet comedians and see how cool they were. I remember, well, and then also one of the worst parts about it was seeing certain comedians, seeing how much they were assholes. But the first night I was there, I remember this really shaped like my whole view of stand-up. First night I was there was a Thursday, and Joe Rogan was working the weekend. And all I knew about Joe Rogan was he was the host of Fear Factor, and he was on news radio. But I was just so like that kind of like, you know, fuck Fear Factor. It's just he's just whoring himself out for money and blah, blah, blah. I was totally that kind of, you know. I like David Cross, like that was my
Yeah.
I listened to Tool, and so I was like, great, you know, I'm gonna have to deal with Joe Rogan and see his stupid comedy. I had never heard his comedy before.
He's funny.
Yeah, he comes up the stairs, and first of all, I notice his eyes are cashed.
Yeah.
He's been smoking weed all day.
He still does
Yeah.
every day, all day.
And I saw him walk up, and like immediately I noticed that, and I was like, "Oh shit!" And I go, and he walks past me. I was giving out wristbands at the door. I said, "Hey, Joe," and he goes, "What's up, buddy?" And I didn't realize how cool that was until I was working there for a while, and I would say, "What's up?" to certain comics, and they'd either blow me off or go, "Numbers."
Oh man.
Yeah. What are the numbers? That's how they would say
What's
hello
that mean?
to me.
How many people?
How
are
many
there?
Yeah,
tickets have you
because they get
sold so
paid
far?
off of that.
And I'm just
Oh.
like, you know, we got about half the house right now. Ugh, and then walked away. Like, thanks, Frank Caliendo. But the head bouncer, door guy, whatever, his name was Jay Antonelli. He was from New York. And as soon as Joe walked away from me, Jay comes up behind me and puts his hand on my shoulder, and he goes, "Now look at that. That fucking guy sleeps till 5 o'clock in the afternoon. He gets up, he smokes some weed, he comes down here, he works for 2 hours, he makes more money than we'll see this whole month. And he goes home and fucks his beautiful wife. Now, how would you like that kind of life?" And I said, I would love that kind of life. And it inspired me to go do an open mic 8 years later.
Good. I'm glad that's from that guy because I think he's great. I think that guy is really.
But then,
funny.
yeah, I sat in during the show, and he was like, "You ever think about the pyramids, man?" and shit. I'm all like, "Yes, I have." Like, and it was great, but like, I mean, the crowd was totally like, they thought he was going to be like how I thought, and I was loving it, and this crowd wasn't liking it, and they were just like, "What the fuck is he talking about?" And I was like, "You guys don't get it." And like, but from that point on, Joe Rogan was like, I don't think he's my favorite comic. I mean, I don't think he's the best comic, but I think he's one of the coolest guys. And I listen to his podcast all the time, and just, he's one of the few comics that has a philosophy, I think.
Yeah, big time philosophy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Guy reads everything.
Yeah.
How long did you work at the Improv?
Not even a year.
Yeah.
But it felt like a fucking eternity. It totally did.
So, who was, while you worked there, your favorite act that you saw live?
Favorite act I saw live, I actually, and a lot of people might be all like, "What, really?" But Jay Moore.
Oh, he's the best, dude.
Yeah.
Well, he's not the best, but he's fucking great.
I like Jay Moore so much live, and I've heard
Yes.
I've heard stories about him in real life. I never met him, but I did meet him actually. What am I talking about? But he was cool. I could see why people don't like him because he's a real ball buster.
Uh-huh.
And if you don't know that, and if you're not that kind of person yourself, then you think he's an asshole. He was totally the guy who would just walk up and talk shit to you, and you knew it wasn't coming from a bad place. But what I liked about him was, I would get so bored. And this is from my perspective as a guy who had to stand there and watch the crowd and try not to laugh. By the show on Sunday, you've heard the comics act 6 times or whatever. You know, like 5, yeah. Well, 6 if they did a Thursday show. And then you'd just be all like, you would just be so burnt out. But with Jay Moore, he would come up and he was so effortless with crowd work, and he was so just like riffing on anything.
Yeah. And
it was always different. And that was like that. If you're asking what was my favorite comic to see while I was there, then it was Jay Moore.
That one stands
favorite
out.
comic to meet was Robert Schimmel.
Oh, he's the best, man. He was, fuck.
Robert Schimmel.
It sucks.
Yeah, and I have a really crazy story about that. Am I talking too much? Am I?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Our guest is talking too much. Sorry, everyone.
Yeesh.
If they can get to know us a little bit now, it's only been 52 episodes.
Our show, buddy. Our show. But Schimmel came in, and he was doing a weekend, and by then it was 2005. So he was very sick by then, and he had lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And he just looked like this kind of skeleton, but you could see, you know, it was Robert Schimmel. I mean, my dad and I used to watch his specials on HBO and just fucking die. Like, that's like the Venn diagram of where my dad's humor and my humor intersect. It's like Robert Schimmel is a big part of it. And so he came in, and I remember he was just so... You would think that a guy whose son died, and then all of a sudden he gets Hodgkin's lymphoma or whatever he had, and then I think he had something else too, and just the shit that he had to go through, you would think that he would have some kind of bitterness in him. But I never met a guy who was nicer.
Yeah.
And then just the week before, you'd see guys, like I just said, that Frank Caliendo fellow, who... It was like, dude, you've got like so much going on right now. You like, aren't you happy? And it wasn't like a depressed kind of not happy. It was just like, you know, rude to people and stuff like that. There was a lot of comics like that. And Robert Schimmel had every right to be rude to people, and he wasn't. And I heard a story about him where the only show he ever missed, it was one time I think in Texas, but he was so committed to not blowing off shows, even when he was super sick, that like in the early 90s when he first started to get really sick, he was in chemo, and he was on the road and or something like that, and he had to stop at like a clinic or something, and it was something like, why are you on the road right now? You have cancer, you need to be in treatment. And they put him into some place overnight for observation, and he was saying, I don't want to be here, I have to be in Kentucky. I think he was in like Oklahoma or something. He had to go, you know, east or west, and they were like, no, you can't. And he was like, all right, fine. He waited till everybody was asleep, and he snuck out, got in a car in a hospital gown, and went to this club. So there was one night where he didn't show up, and we were wondering what was going on, and we knew he was really sick. He would just go to the green room and have to lie down, and he would just be taking these pills, and so we're like, what happens now? And it's like 8:30. The show should have started at 8. We're waiting. We're telling the openers to stretch. And we're just like, well, is he going to miss a show? Is that how bad it is? Is he going to die? And then all of a sudden, he comes through the door, but I think it was his wife and his doctor have him like propped up, like on their shoulders kind of. And he's walking like really slow. He can't move on his own strength. And the PR girl picked him up, and I said, what happened? And she goes, he was all set to blow this show off. It would have been the second show in his career that he blew off, and he didn't want to do it. At the last second, George Carlin called him out of the blue and said, you know, you're a really funny motherfucker, I like you. That's all he said. And then Schimmel was like, get my suit, I gotta go. And then we walked him to the green room and then let him just chill there. And then later, it's time for him to go up, and we go into the green room, and he's not there. And we're like, he's missing. Now, like, well, it's one. If it's not one thing, it's you know, it's something else. So we're going around looking for him, and we're all scattered. And then I'm in a hallway, and I notice the broom closet's open just a little bit. and I push the broom closet door open, and he's sitting there on a bucket, and you could tell he's in pain. He's got a real sad look on his face. But then as soon as he saw me walk in, he looked up, and it was like he didn't want me to know that he was hurting. Mm-hmm. And he puts on this big smile, and he goes, "Hey, buddy, what's going on?" I said, "Nothing. Are you okay?" And he was like, "Yeah." I said, Are you going to go up?" He was, "Absolutely." I'm like, all right. And I walked out, and then I saw like this the PR girl and the owner. They were like, "Did you find him?" I said, "He's in the broom closet." "What's he doing in there?" "I don't know, but just let him sit. He knows when to go up." Okay, all right. And it was just that kind of dedication. And then there's me, like, I got a headache. Maybe I'll blow off that Ice House gig. But it's like seeing that, it was just like that's what a comic is. That's a real worker. Mm-hmm. That's a guy who's like, this is my job.
Yeah.
You know.
For anybody that doesn't know who Robert Schimmel is, one, I'd be a little bit surprised because when he was
Look him up.
doing it, I mean, he's one of the funniest comedians of all time. Mm-hmm. And he has very close ties to Arizona. His family lives here, parents, kids. He spent a lot of time in Phoenix and did the Improv a couple times a year. But so definitely look him up on YouTube, whatever you can, because his material, it's like it's sexual material kind of stuff, but god damn it, it's funny, man. The spins he puts on it.
Oh, absolutely. He's got that kind of like East Coast, almost like 60s comic kind of thing, like the Catskills kind of delivery. And you're never going to see that kind of comic again. He was like the last guy, I think, to really do that. But also, like, he made like filthy jokes still kind of classy a little.
Yeah, he totally did.
As opposed to now, filthy is filthy.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't mean it's not
it's
funny.
It's the same. Yeah, you're right. It's the same filth, but the way he said it and turned it, it was like it was welcoming to everybody that was listening.
Yeah. You think of a guy like Jim Norton, where he's very open, and I love Jim Norton.
Yeah, me too.
He's very open about how filthy he is, and how that's a part of his life, and that's going to isolate some people. It doesn't isolate me at all. But with Robert Schimmel, it's like, you know, so my wife's sucking my cock, and he's saying it in a way where it's all like, you know, like this is like he's got this like delivery of like, you know, Rodney Dangerfield kind of 60s like.
Yeah,
swinging.
he does.
Like, yeah.
You're totally on board with him. Like, he says it, and you're like, yeah, then what?
He says it in that way where you're like, yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Like the one where he's like, I came all over my wife's tits. And she's like, what the fuck is this? He's like, you know, rub it in. She goes, take it off.
Yeah. My favorite joke is where he goes, he says to his wife, tonight, we'll try something new. I'll drop you off at a restaurant or at a bar. You go in, and I'll go in a half hour later. Or no, she says this to him. I fucked the whole thing up already. She says it to him. I'll go in the bar, then you go in a half hour later, pretend you don't know me, and we'll go home and fuck. And he was like, all right. So he goes in first, and then she's waiting, and then she goes in, and he's talking to some chick. She goes, what the fuck are you doing? And he goes, who the fuck are you? I just thought that was so good.
That's good role playing.
Yeah, man, I love it, man. His stuff was so good. I mean, an hour, you would sit there for an hour listening to him, and when the hour's up and he's done with his act, you'd be like, come on, man, please keep going. It went by so fast listening to him tell jokes and make you laugh.
Yeah.
Because he's not a storytelling joke, but he's not a one-line guy either. It's kind of that in-between.
It was a lot of long form, but also it you're right. It had the pacing where it didn't feel like he was just telling you a story for 8 minutes or so, but he was.
Yeah.
But it felt like
he made you laugh so hard in between that you thought that was the punchline, but it wasn't.
Yeah. You realize later,
so
he just told me a whole tale. Okay.
A tale.
All right. So, well, actually, I have a question. You worked at the Improv for a little bit. What's the craziest story that's not depressing? Because comedy club stories get pretty good, but the craziness happens a lot of times after everybody leaves and the comics are still hanging out there drinking whatever. It can get kind of crazy sometimes, but I don't know.
Well, I have a good story about that.
Here we go.
I have a couple, actually.
Here we go.
Yeah. Well, I think it was the original Latin Kings of Comedy. They came through. It was Fluffy, Gabriel.
Yeah, Gabriel.
I think Willie Barcena. And, Freddie Soto, Joey Soto, I forget his name.
I think, yeah.
But they did the show, and afterwards, a lot of the staff would go to a bar next door, which is a Buffalo Wild Wings now.
Yeah, what was it, Six Shooters?
Six Shooters, yeah. We'd go down there. I wasn't.
I remember
20.
drinking there with Greg Giraldo every time we'd be in
Really?
town. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. You got to talk about that later. I want to hear that.
Off air. They've all heard it.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't there that night. I was actually not 21 yet, but once in a while they would kind of sneak me in, and like I guess Tempe Improv people had clout, but I wasn't there this night. I heard it the next morning that all these comics went down there with the staff, and I don't know if it was some kind of racial thing or what, but there were guys at the bar that were picking fights with these Latin comics, and they just threw down, and there was this big bar fight. And the cops came and stuff. And then the next morning, I came in to sell tickets, and I'm getting calls from like newspapers and stuff, going like, "We understand there was a fight with your comics. Do you care to comment?" And I was like, "I don't know anything about that. I can't talk to you. Goodbye." Click. And then the owner got all pissed. The one who I don't really care for.
Yeah.
The owner got all pissed off, and then he talked to the manager. Didn't come in the club, of course, but he wrote this mandate of what's going to happen now. And then we had a meeting at the end of our shift, like as we were counting the money and everything, and our manager's like on stage, and she goes, "Guys, Dan says that," and I use his real name right there. It says that after your shift is over, go home. Don't even do anything, like just don't go to a bar or anything. Just go home, okay? We need you guys to stay out of trouble. And collectively, the whole room was just like, "Fuck you!" Like, you can't tell us what to do when we get off work. Like, who is this guy?
That's hilarious. Yeah, we would go. Well, when we would play there, we would do Maloney's, which was across the street,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
We'd have a drink there, then we'd go to the club, and then after the show, we'd go to Six Shooters.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
I used to love. Like, Six Shooters was one of the first bars that had an internet jukebox, where if the songs weren't there, you pay a little extra. And I was just, I had so much fun with that, just being all like, "You guys haven't heard any of this shit before. Get ready for this." Nobody likes what I'm playing.
So what, when you finally decided, all right, I'm going to try stand-up comedy, how long did you put an act together and then go do it, or did you just get up and start talking? Like, how much preparation went into it?
Kind of half and half. I remember, I'm pissed because I wish that the first time was on video, but there was some technical difficulties and the club kind of dropped the ball on it. But yeah, a lot of it was just kind of riffing. There was some stuff. There was one bit in there that I still do today that people really like. People seem to like it more than I do. It's my bit about Steve Urkel. And if anybody's heard that, it's such a
Any bit about Urkel.
I want to hear it, please.
I can't do that right now.
Really?
Basically,
That's okay.
it's a bit like, okay, so basically the idea is Steve Urkel is my hero because
I've heard this one. It
wanna
is
hear
good.
it.
You've heard this?
Good. Yeah.
Okay, wait, go, I want to hear
I
it.
think I've done a few shows with you.
you must have heard it at the Turf like last month maybe? Or?
I don't know, dude. I've heard it, though.
Oh, well, it's like the concept is that he's my hero in the same sense that Steve Jobs or Michael Jordan are heroes because they came into a situation that was already established, and then they had to have the people around them adapt to them because Steve Urkel wasn't on episode 1 of the show he was on. He came in like halfway through season 2, and then he was supposed to be just a guy.
Did he
was,
really?
Yeah, he
like
was
a
supposed to
clown.
be a guy who was just in there for one episode, and then the whole nation was like, "Oh, we want that."
Yeah.
And it was a show about a black family from Chicago and what they were going through, and then all of a sudden it would be an A-plot story and like how the bit goes. I haven't done it in a while, but it was like so like tonight on TGIF, Steve invents a potion that dissects his personality into 2 distinct halves, a la Jekyll and Hyde. And Laura's boyfriend is pressuring her for sex. It's all on a new Family Matters tonight, and it gets crazier and crazier.
Yeah.
Steve
Stefan
creates-
Urkel.
Yeah. Steve creates a sentient android that holds Laura hostage in the basement. And Carl gets his hours cut at the police station. It's on an all-new Family Matters. And then the big ending one is, Steve dissects the God particle and creates a black hole that destroys everything that is, was, or ever will be. and a visit from the health inspector could spell doom for Aunt Rachel's restaurant. All new family matters.
It was like randomly hot. Like, Aunt Rachel. I saw, what's his name? Stefan.
Steve Urkel, Stefan
Yeah.
Urkel, Jaleel White,
Jaleel
the white
White.
guy.
Yeah.
I
He
saw
lives
him
out here.
He
at
does?
a bar,
Think so.
and I wanted
Oh,
to
shit.
go say hi so bad, but I heard that he's really like against like people bringing up his character.
He was so open
But
about that for a while.
How else would we know him? Hey, you're Steve Urkel. No, I'm not. Like,
Yeah.
really?
It got him lots of money.
Sorry, I don't know
I
your
would
real
embrace it.
name. You don't know my name. I'm not upset about it. But I didn't say hi, but I saw him.
Yeah, that's cool.
But he looked just like, you can't hide from that look. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
you
like-
can pull your pants down. You're still Steve Urkel. To me, at least, forever.
Yeah. Ask him if he's got any cheese.
Can I do that?
Oh
that
shit!
show.
The first time you went up, did you do real well?
Yeah, I killed the first time I went up.
Yeah?
And I've heard that's kind of like common for people.
It is. When you're
Although
good at it.
We saw two people yesterday
Oh,
who
shit,
went up
we
on their
did.
first time, and I don't mean to talk shit, but
Hear it.
I mean
No.
they got
We
their
did-
work cut out for them. Is all I'm saying, and that's what it takes. You got to work really hard at this.
Oh man, Michael and I are sitting at the table, and
Dude.
it was like number 2 and number 3 of the night that were going up, and the first kid went up and didn't move. He took the mic out of the mic stand, but didn't move the stand. So
No, but he's
and
telling
I-
suicide jokes.
Yeah,
That's the
he
thing.
is.
He had a long suicide bit.
So I turned to Michael. I'm like, dude, you gotta move the mic stand. And he goes, what did you like? That's your biggest problem with this act?
That's your biggest complaint.
Yeah, that's
He had
what
a
he
long thing about suicide, and it was like, I don't fault him because he's a new comic, but you could totally tell that he didn't have a different bit. If he had something else, he would have gone to it.
Yeah.
But he was just like, this is all I have, and I got to power through it. I'm going to do this. And
Maybe
Yeah.
it was a cry for help. And he was just
Well,
like,
he
using
didn't know any
stand-up.
better. Like, when they go up for their
Sad
first
people.
time,
How,
it's
how much time did he have?
4 minutes.
Oh,
well,
that's
that's
a
not
long
and then
true
you said
either.
some funny ass
The
shit.
first time, that's got to feel like an eternity, right?
It fucking was an eternity because it
You.
wasn't 4 minutes.
Yeah. Kevin goes, do they do different 4 minutes for certain people? Do some people get longer 4
It
minutes?
was up for like
Like
10 minutes.
counting by twos.
We're sitting there, we're like, Jesus Christ, are they going to light? I was going to light him. I'm like, it's enough.
Yeah.
It's been enough. No offense to the kid, even though he's doing shitty.
Good job,
he also has
kid.
been up here for 8.5 minutes.
I was just thinking about that. When are people going to realize now that there's no light at comedy clubs? And if you're in the back with a flashlight on your cell phone, you could just
Yeah.
direct traffic
Wait,
for
how
a
are they
comedy
supposed to
show.
know? How are they supposed to time themselves?
Usually
You get
the
that internal clock.
the
I don't-
showrunner has his phone out and he's
Yeah.
doing the time thing, and then when
We
it's
do
done-
it
Yeah.
on ours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But-
like I'm waiting for, and I should be saying
Oh,
this
you
on a
were saying like
podcast,
there's
but
not like an official
just audience
lighting
people
system.
being all like, no, we're done with you, holding up their light,
Yeah.
because you
No,
can't
it is
tell from
shitty.
on stage who's doing
Yeah,
it.
people shouldn't do that.
I know they should.
I mean, just as being, well, I've talked about this before, just as being in the audience and people are like loud, disrespectful. Oh, I just feel like it's the worst thing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
even for the audience, it's like, that's so uncomfortable. Please be quiet. And I don't want to be the person to tell someone else to be quiet. I'll do it, but I don't want to.
I have such a problem when I go to see like a big comedy show at like Stand Up Live or the Improv or even like the Celebrity Theater, whatever. There's so many, like, I can't fully enjoy the show. I have to be looking over my shoulder and seeing if people are like being cool.
Being respectful.
And yeah, like, and as soon as I hear somebody say something, I'm like, who said that shit? Like,
That's how I feel when I go to these comedy shows. And the only thing you can do loud is laugh. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all you're there for.
Yep.
We're not here to hear what the audience has to say, unless somebody asks, like if we ask.
yeah.
But other than that, it's just so uncomfortable and it's so rude.
Yeah.
I think.
There was 3 girls last night that were loud as
Is it
shit. For the
typically-
beginning, then they
Yeah, you
quieted
said
down.
something nice to them.
Always call them out. 'Cause it's bullshit.
They were so teaching one up,
Yeah.
and
The master of crowd work.
he's pretty good at it because he's so good at
He's
silence.
actually opening for me at my headlining show. I should
Oh,
say
is
that.
he?
Yeah, I just
Good,
I,
yeah.
It's really
I had
funny.
somebody drop out, and I told him to.
Everybody go, man. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, these 3 girls. It was some girl's birthday. It was her
Oh,
21st
the
birthday.
worst.
She got to spend it at the club with
They
8
should.
other people.
And her dad.
Yeah, and her dad.
You could tell it was
Jesus.
totally the dad's idea. Like, I want you where I can see you tonight.
Yeah. So they were in the bathroom, which is close to the stage, and they were being really loud in the bathroom, talking and screaming. Justin goes up there, and instantly he's like, "Shut the fuck up!" And then they finally come out, and he kept interrupted his bits. Like they came out, and then he had to stop and was like, "What was so funny? Like, what are you laughing at? Whatever." And they wouldn't shut up. And then I was next to go up, so right before I go, I was like, "Should I go into him? Should I not?"
Do it.
And Dietrich's like, "Fuck yeah, of course." What comic's gonna say? No, you know
You
what?
asked Dietrich about a social situation, like, what to do.
Yeah.
I love Dietrich, by the way.
So I said to him, I said, "Where are the girls that were talking during the last set or whatever?" And they were like, "Oh, here." Like, don't admit it. And I said, "It's ironic that you go in the bathroom and close the door because you don't want people to see your pussy, but then you come out here and show all of us that you're a cunt."
And it was just like,
The look on one of the I didn't know that, but the look on one of the girls' faces was like, "Oh shit!" It's like, all right, shut the fuck up.
Did everyone
just
laugh?
enjoy the show?
Is that the funny
well,
part?
I will say that they stuck around for the whole show.
They did,
Yeah,
Oh, well,
and I
that's
was
pretty
shocked.
good.
At
and
that.
they stopped talking for the most part. So I guess
There
it
you
worked.
go.
And one of them outside came up to me because I don't know what she was doing either. But she came out. He was like, "You were really funny." I'm
Isn't
like,
that
"All
funny?
right, cool."
It's always those people that you're all like, well, I'm going to hear something about this later. And you see him walk up. Hey, man, keep it up. Keep up the good
Yeah,
work.
right?
So you can't spend your 21st birthday at a comedy club. Maybe somewhere close
It's
to
like I'm
urgent
saying that
care.
it was
or something.
totally her dad's idea. I'm telling
Yeah.
you.
And I don't
It
even think that was her friends. I think it was family because they were all older than she was by like a lot.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, "Hey, I'm 22,
That was like the
24. They
family
were
party.
like
Totally.
late 30s to early 60s. There was nobody really her age.
You could
but-
tell she was just like, God damn it. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they did stay the whole time.
You were bummed their family was there too, I can tell.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's all right.
So, all right, you killed the first time open mic. How long do you wait to go up a second time?
Well, because at that time, God, I did my first open mic at the Comedy Spot, and I don't want to say all that shit or anything that we're all like people out there.
Everybody says.
Yeah,
That everybody always
says.
says
Yeah.
when they come here. I've never met the guy. And I'm like, oh, that guy. I have no clue what you're talking about, but I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about.
But they only do open.
I know.
At that time, they were only doing open mics once a month, and
Wait, you whisper it into the microphone? I'll be right
yeah,
back.
you don't want to be here while I start talking about the Comedy Spot. But, yeah. I mean, my situation wasn't really as anything like what other people got to deal with him or had to deal with him. It was just more of like I felt like I was being treated differently in the end, and I saw the writing on the wall, and I realized to pick a road, and maybe this ain't it. But yeah, I mean, because that's all. Like I did a show there November of 2012. And then it was, when can I get back on? Well, our next open mic is a month from today. Cool. And I had no idea. I was just like, I'm a comedian now. And it was like, no, asshole. You like, there's Monkey Pants, there's a Hidden House, there's the Ice House, there's a Turf. You need to be doing that. But the way it was presented to me at the time, I was green as grass. I had no idea. I was just like, okay, I guess I'm part of this club now.
Yeah.
And that's how it goes. And I realized later, just like, no. And of course, there's like the whole thing of like that guy doesn't really like people going anywhere else, and it's like I got to work on my shit, dude.
Yeah.
I've got to get better, and I'm not going to get better if you're going to limit people like that. And so I never had an official thing with him where it was like you're banned and all that, but I had a very weird email exchange with him because I told him because he had 5 videos of mine that were up, and I heard on some podcast, there was some comic, she said something about why are young comics videotaping their first year and putting it on YouTube? That's the dumbest thing you could do. And then I heard that and I was like, yeah, like this should be done in secret what I'm doing right now. Like when I'm good, then you could see what's going on. And I am good right now. I want to remind everybody that Speakeasy August 28th.
He is good. I'll vouch for him. Everybody
you
go.
saw me last night. That's not a good representation.
That was bullshit night. That wasn't.
That
dude.
was just fucking like, does this even count? Like, is this a show? No disrespect to Stamp Scottsdale at all, but just,
But last night I just went up and bullshitted. Like
Yeah.
I had an idea, of what I wanted to do, and then just said, "Fuck it, man. We'll let it ride."
Yeah. But what was I saying? Yeah. So I asked him to take those videos down and it was kind of a thing, like back and forth. And I was like, I'm not even asking for the money that you charge me to put those videos up, which by the way, we can get into a whole thing about that. But, like, I'm not asking for my $100 back. I just want those videos down. And then I get an email back in lowercase letters, fine. And then I go, well, I got you on the horn. You think that I could do open mic this month? And he goes, no, lowercase,
What?
no punctuation. I go, I get it, man. I understand. And I haven't gone down there since.
I don't blame
His
you.
email
Yeah.
sent you a tone.
Yeah.
That was
I
a
mean,
tone.
like, people always say, you can't read what's in the text. Yeah, you can. You totally can. Like,
Did.
yeah.
Where are you
Lowercase-
from?
I was born in New Jersey. I moved
I
out
was
here
going to
when
say, I
was
have
7.
this little accent coming from you that I'm getting.
It's funny you say that because, I mean, I've been here, I'm 30, so I've been here 23 years now?
You probably
Holy
inherited it from your parents.
My parent, my,
because it's
my,
very
my
subtle.
dad, my grandfather, yeah. It's still there. It's funny. I like to watch videos of me when I was a kid. And it's just,
I'm looking at him, and it finally clicked who you look like. You look like a very young Robert Downey Jr.
I've heard that before, actually.
Go with that.
Really?
Yeah.
That'll work for you.
If you want to see Robert Downey
You
Robert
look
Downey
and
Jr.
sound like
looking
him.
motherfucker, come see me.
You do.
At the
You look and
Speakeasy.
sound like him.
Thank you.
Yeah, keep
Thank
that
you.
up. That's incredible.
I try. Well, yeah, I'll do what I can in that sense. But,
I see that guy everywhere. I'm like, he's in everything. I'm just kidding.
So
Not
I-
obsessed at all.
describe to our
Not
listeners
at all.
so they can come out and see what your comedy is about.
Okay, what you're gonna hear if you come out and see me right now, I'm still doing stuff that I've kind of started with. I'm gradually writing more and more things that are way more personal. I don't really know how to answer that question. A lot of there's stuff about. Well, I'm a young comic in 2014, so I have Tinder jokes, of course. It's like basically, God, I really don't know how to describe what I do.
All right, that's okay. Where does I'll try and ask it a different way so we can get there.
You saw me last night. You tell him.
Where do you get your inspiration in comedy from?
How I get bits usually, and this is the most kind of. This answer is going to make me sound like, yeah, man, I just do whatever, but it's true. I smoke weed alone, and then think of something, and if I laugh out loud at it, then it has to be written down.
That's what we get from a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
I wish it was more like, I go outside and I just sit and like, no, it's just if something like very rarely, and I want to put this out there in case anybody ever sees me in public, very rarely would I ever write something down that you've given me. So please stop saying, you should put this in your act.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
It's the
but
fucking worst, dude.
yeah. I appreciate what you're doing. I really do. But like, and sometimes it'll just be a straight up joke.
Yes.
Joke, like a bar joke. And I'm like, did you make that up yourself? Nah, a buddy at work told me. Well, I can't do that then, can I? Like, it's funny. It's funny.
Hey man, I got a joke for you. And then they tell it, and you just sit there, stone cold, straight faced, and they're like, "You can use that, man."
wait,
I don't
They
think
just
so.
assume.
but did somebody go, you look just like Gru from Despicable Me, and you went, well, maybe I'll use that.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody says something like that, you could spin it. But like, I remember, like, God, this is my best friend who lives in Vermont. He's listening to this, and I got to tell this story because this is so like, and like, it's just indicative. It just really kind of sums up what like comics on that level have to go. And I'm sure even comics on the big level too. But like, he came out to see me this past Christmas. I did a show at Long Long's for Paige's talk show thing, Paige the Village Idiot. He does like this really cool late night talk show thing. It's actually at the Rogue Bar now in Scottsdale. Not enough people go to see it, and they really should. It's a really cool concept. It's like this Tonight Show thing where he comes out and does a monologue, and then he's got the desk and a sidekick, a musical act, and then you go up and do your set, and then you sit down, and he's got your Facebook open. He's like, now I understand you were just at Safeway yesterday. What was that? And I'm like, well, Paige, let me tell you. It's a really cool concept.
That is a
sounds
cool
funny.
idea.
But for
I
some
wanna see
reason,
that.
it just it doesn't get enough people. It's called the Sunday
Never heard
Night
of
Show.
it.
Yeah, the Sunday Night Show
I
at the
think we
Rogue
should
Bar.
go to that.
They do it once a month at the Rogue Bar now. But
Wow.
I used to live by the Long Longs on Apache. Don't ask me why, but I would go do his show pretty often. He was doing it weekly then, I think. And then my buddy Eric was there. It was just after Christmas, the Sunday after Christmas. And I was getting ready to go up, and I just wasn't feeling it because there was just like 2 meth heads in the bar. And I was like, oh, great, I'm just going to waste my time. And I had my whole set in my head, and I was going over it. And my buddy Eric goes, hey, remember that story we were talking? Because like we had spent the whole night before just talking about stories from high school. Like, remember that time when you fucking... He's like, tell that one story. Just get up there and tell that one story. And I go, don't tell me what to go up there and say. He's like, just go up there and riff. Just tell that story. I'm like, I got a whole bit. I got a whole 7 minutes in my head that I'm working on like all day. He goes, just do it. And he's a behavioral science professor at the University of Vermont or something.
Jesus.
And I go, how about you just go wing behavioral science like that? And he was just like, it's not the same thing. I'm all like, fuck you. Like, we each do our own thing, man. Like, this is my thing, and he was like, all right, okay, fine. And then I went up there and bombed. And should have done that story, man. Told that story, you would have been fine.
Oh, shit. All right, we got to wrap this up, but we'll recap a little bit. So, again, Thursday, August 21st, 8 p.m. at Stand Up Scottsdale. Free admission. Come on in. Our live podcast showcase show. Really funny comedians. We're going to have a really good time with it. And get there a little bit early. Richie Martin's going to be doing some warm-ups, so he will get you guys excited for the show before we even start recording. And then see me again August 31st at Stand Up Scottsdale. That's at 7:30. And then Michael Palladino, shout your dates again.
Okay, so the big one would be Thursday, August 28th at the Speakeasy. I'll be doing a half hour, and opening for me is Jason Hill, Anwar Newton.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah, fresh off of his Shroom Comic-Con adventure.
So funny.
I'm surprised he's still doing it. He's way more famous than, he doesn't need to be doing my little show. And Justin Tejan just got announced as the replacement for Angela Haynes. She had to drop out. And then Rob Mabey is hosting, which is cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All friends of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. And then Nancy, any dates for you?
Just regular.
All right. Just taking naps.
Yeah.
Going on vacation.
Yep.
All right.
I'll be out of town on this date. Just kidding. I'm here for a while.
All right. Michael, first of all, thank you for coming.
Thank you
this
for
was a
having
lot of
me.
fun, man. Loved
This
it. Great guest. Funny stories, man. And you know a lot about comedy, which is great to talk about. We end every show with our guest with one question. It is, what would you attempt to do if you knew you could not fail?
God damn it. What would I attempt? I would take the ice bucket challenge, Kevin. Because you know something? That's important. People need to be aware. It's all about awareness. So yeah, I would do that if I.
So you're
if
not going to fail.
If I knew that I wouldn't fail at the ice bucket challenge.
I would have
do
chosen.
it. You guys, come on, hashtag ice bucket. Come on.
I thought he was going to build an Iron Man suit, but that's good too.
No, yeah, okay, Iron
There you
Man
go.
suit.
Just setting the
Just to
bar a little
complete the. Just so then I would get even more. You look just like Robert Downey Jr. If I had an
the
Iron Man
suit,
suit.
yeah, wow.
Then you couldn't
Like,
deny it. It would be so right there in front of your face.
I'm Iron Man.
Awesome, man. Everybody have a good week. We will see you Thursday night.
Hey, this is Steve from the 12A podcast, where we've got movies and entertainment for you. If you want to learn how to get to second base for $1, check us out on the 4-Eyed Radio Network at 4eyedradio.com.